Lit. No, just kidding. I'm Sierra Monet. I'm a radio personality at Power 92, Saturdays 2 to 6, and I am a mommy of one to my baby boy, Carson. So I was the type of person that just gets up and go. Like, I don't plan things. Sometimes I plan things out, but for the most part, like if someone calls me to go on a trip next weekend or this weekend, I'm going. If somebody tell me come outside and get ready within 2 hours, I'm going. So I loved, before being a mom, like just being able to get up and go and being able to not having to plan things, because sometimes that gets stressful. But now as a mom, you have to plan out every single thing. I feel like that has been the hardest challenge for me, because it's like, oh wait, I can't just get up and go, or I can't say, yeah, I'm coming outside. Like, I have to plan this sometimes days in advance, and then if it's the day of, it's like, okay, let me call, my mom, or let me ask his dad and see if, they'll be willing to watch him. So having to plan your days every single day from start to finish I feel like that's been the most challenging thing.
My name is Jasmine James. I am a Chicago-based educator and a doctor in community psychology. But my favorite job of all is I am a mom to an amazing 3-year-old little boy named Logan, who is actually like 15 on the inside, but that's my pride and joy outside of being a teacher. So before I had my son, I was young. I had my son when I was 24. I was definitely 21, 22, 23 outside, okay? I graduated from school when I was 21, and then I enrolled into a master's program. That was pretty much like my whole entire journey before him. I was super focused on like becoming a teacher, but at the same time, I feel like I had a social life. So I was always like in the mix, at parties, at events. I actually would say that I kind of was lost before I had my kid. Like, I just think that I was kind of like gravitating toward just about anything. Groups of people that weren't necessarily the best for me, not really knowing my purpose. I think like becoming a teacher kind of aligned me more with my purpose. But before that, I was pretty much like blowing in the wind. College was a blur. It was a lot going on. I was in a little town in Ohio, trying to like navigate, lost. And then I found out I was gonna be.
Hello, my name is Jarnae Harris. I am the co-founder and chief strategy officer of Legacy Strategies marketing firm. I'm a wife, a mom of Mackenzie, who will be 2 in June, and I am here to share my story. Before I settled down, I was trying to figure out what I liked, what type of career path I wanted to go on, and just trying different things. I had a 400 square foot studio in Hyde Park, and I was living my best single life. Probably like my prime time to just get to know Jarnae and love on Jarnae. Once I realized what did that look like loving Jarnae, I then started attracting what type of life I wanted, or the kind of people that I wanted in my life, which is when my husband came into the picture. That version of me is kind of like getting further and further away from my memory, just because of how much energy and focus that the Jarnae today is requiring. So it's like those memories are kind of fading, but I'm really grateful to have this opportunity to talk about and just recall who I was during that time. When you don't have a lot of responsibilities, you're able to kind of take more risks. So that was what was going on during that time.
Hi everyone, my name is Asia. I'm the owner of Asia Lexi Productions, where I produce visions, I birth visions. Currently now producing a podcast. I am also a mother to a beautiful baby boy, and his name is Caleb. Who was Asia before being a mother? Asia was definitely life of the party, still am. Just having a good time, meeting new people. I was freshly new into the city because I had been in college and then lived in Indiana for a little bit at my mother's, and then when I came to Chicago, I was really just on this explore and this quest to just find me. I was just out here living my best life, I would say. When I first initially found out I was pregnant, I was actually scared, because this is how it was for me. I had a job. I finally got my first job out of college, and it wasn't even anything that had to do with my degree technically. I was a real estate photographer. Felt that it was right. It was something I wanted to do, photography, and I kind of just went with it. I was traveling a lot for the work that I was doing, and actually lost my job. I got fired from it, and that was not even a full year after I had that job. And after that, I literally was like, God, I need you to help me. A lot of my journey with being a mother and being an entrepreneur has a lot to do with my faith. When I lost that job, I cried about it for like 10 minutes, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do what I feel God is telling me to do, and I'm gonna go in full force. I actually started my business in 2020. This was right before the pandemic hit. Then the pandemic hit. Then I found out I was pregnant. So you can only imagine.
I remember his dad being on vacation. I remember it was like 2 days after my scheduled menstrual date, and I went to Walgreens, and I just knew before the test even came back, like I kind of knew, but when I saw the test came back positive, I was still shocked, like this cannot be real. I texted him the test, and I don't know what he thought. Like, he was like, I don't even remember what he thought. Like, we both were just shocked. It literally didn't kick in probably until like maybe like the 8th or 9th month. Like when I started showing, I didn't start showing until like September, and I had my baby in January. So
I definitely was shocked. I come from a very like Christian home. So I think like the biggest thing for me was, I had a baby before I got married. And I think the stress of that was just like a lot. I was nervous to tell my family, you know, I was trying to decide like, am I ready to be a mom? Cause I feel like 24, you're like, the world is still outside. And now I'm gonna be inside, like taking care of a baby. And then I think it's just always that thought of like, am I gonna be good enough to be a mom? Like, do I have the skills? Am I emotionally ready? I feel like I was sorting through a lot. I had just finished school. Like, this was my first kind of like year being a teacher. So I think I was just like navigating a lot of like first. And then boom, I was about to be a mom. And I remember just like calling my mom, just like stuttering on the phone, like, I'm like, Mom, you may wanna sit down for this one. I'm getting ready to be a parent. I call my godfathers. My dad passed away when I was 14, so they're like the closest version of a dad to me. And I'm just like, are you ashamed of me? Like, what do you think? Like, and they're like, you got it. Like, we're there to support you. We're gonna like pull it together. Of course, my son's father was super excited. Like, he's like, oh, I'm about to have a kid. He was older than me, like a few years. He was like 26, so he was a little more seasoned in his 20s. I feel like that like fun stage of his life had passed. And we were like, we just gonna do it. We're gonna commit to it. We're gonna do it.
My husband and I, after like the first year of being together, we ended up getting engaged, and we kind of knew that we wanted to build a life together. We had a lot of the similar values as it relates to family and as it related to how we wanted to raise our children. And so it was already kind of like a done deal. We're like, okay, we're gonna have babies soon. I was on birth control. I'm an avid champion of birth control. I actually had the IUD at the time for like maybe 6 years. It was timely when it was about to expire, my IUD. At the same time, him and I were considering starting to have a child. I will say what really just made the decision final for us to start trying was unfortunately when his aunt got diagnosed with cancer, and unfortunately it had already gotten out of control to the point where like we didn't know how much time we had with her. I did have a lot of passings in my family, and that's what started getting me more serious about becoming a mom. With my aunt being sick and me and Michael being secure, having a home front, I was like, okay, we about to open the floodgates. It took us like almost a year to conceive, like after we were trying. When you're trying to have a baby, it's like actually doesn't happen as quickly as like if you're just kind of living life and leaning into the good feelings. Me being pregnant was like really tough days, because here I am trying to go 110% in delivering for my clients and having a structured day, waking up at 5 in the morning, you know, setting my intentions, making sure that, you know, I'm crossing my to-do list off, and, you know, doing revenue generating activities as an entrepreneur. Like, that's very important. But then the way pregnancy set up though, you know, one day you'll wake up and you just don't have the energy.
I feel like that switch kicked on as soon as I pushed him out. Like that mother intuition, like that nurturing spirit just kicked in, because I've always seen myself being a mom, but no time soon. And sometimes people like 30, that's not soon. Like 30 is kind of like, you know, up there in age compared to some of the people that I know. Like most people have their kids in 20s. I didn't expect to have a baby to at least like maybe like 34, 35-ish. That was my ideal, because I wanted to enjoy the early 30 stages. So yeah, just that whole time, it's just nerve-wracking. Like, I don't know. You want men to be like, oh, it's okay. Like some men are like that. I'm like, hold my hand. Now, it was cool, but it was a great experience once he got here. When they took him away, and then when his dad stepped out for the moment, like I just got emotional, because it's like, okay, now what? Like what's next? Like the real world, like is here now. Like, I'm somebody's mom. Like, I'm responsible for another life other than myself. Like, and I can be a selfish person. Like, I love to give and do for others, but I'm gonna put me first, like, no matter what. But now it's like, you really have a person to put before you. Like, this is crazy. And my friends and family still to this day say, I cannot believe you a mom. Like, which kind of like make me look like, why? Like, do I not give off mama vibes? But I'm definitely a mom for sure.
I'm kid you not, them 9 months, I was like, I gotta do so much healing work. I gotta make sure I'm the best mother. Like I just don't want anything to leak down to my son. What I didn't know was the true healing wasn't gonna take place until he was here, because I'm doing something that I've never done before. Motherhood was so new to me, and it's still new to me. It's a learning journey, and I always say, like, it's a choice. When people tell you that, of just like, your life is over, that's your decision. You do have stay-at-home moms and people that are called to do those things, but for me, God gave me so much more in my vision. He gave me so much more than just being a mother, and that was just a part of my journey.
When I first found out I was pregnant, I just was like so stressed. The relationship that I have with my mom, which was like an ebbing and growing stage. I think that like a lot of our work that we did as mother and daughter happened in my 20s. Stepping into motherhood, I was just like, Mom, we need to like work some things out. So I got into therapy. Like, I was in therapy a lot when I was pregnant. That was like my safe space where I could say, like, I'm afraid to be a mom. Like, what if I'm not good enough? I was living the single lady life. Now I have to like figure out, is a crib gonna fit in here? If not, now I have to move. Now I have to get all of these different things. And then when I found out that he was gonna be a boy, super stressed, just so much stress.
I found out that I was pregnant the week after I got back from my bachelorette party. Of course, a bachelorette party is going to include all the indulgence, okay? And so my friends and family, they was like, okay, that baby that survived a lot, was swimming around in the belly with all kind of other types of beverages. The feeling actually is, I can't put my finger on it. All I can say is it was just like a pureness about the whole experience, the process of becoming a mother. It was very pure. It was very just unpredictable. Sometimes it was ugly. Sometimes it was the best feeling ever. Just more so was just really proud of myself for creating a beautiful child with the man that I love and bringing him into the family that, you know, we both have.
With some people, babies will, well, all the time, babies will either make or break the relationships. Being as honest and as transparent as I can, like when we conceived my son, we weren't in an official relationship. That didn't happen until after, like, I found out I was pregnant. How things started off, everything was fun, like we was having a good time, like, and enjoying each other. And then, you know, months later, it's like, here comes a baby, and you're about to have a baby with a person that you still trying to figure out. It definitely brought a lot of challenges for us, because it's like, not only are we getting to know each other's family, you know, how I am as a mom, which is changing every day, and how he is as a dad. I'm hopeful. Like, everybody from my side of the family to his side of the family, like, loves that little boy. So even if we don't last, you know, as a unit, like, that baby will be well taken care of, just because of the village, for sure.
It was very overwhelming, especially because that was at the beginning of COVID. So like, COVID had just started. I mean, he was born at the end of 2019. COVID was like on the rise in 2020. So I couldn't even have people over. Fortunately, like, his dad and I were both in education. So when COVID happened, we were like isolated. Like, we both got to stay home and kind of do our jobs from home. So I feel like I didn't struggle with postpartum, because his dad was just like super active in the moment, like getting everything together. But it was frustrating being in the house every day with the same person and a little human. We were together before Logan for about 2 years. We worked together. Then I found out I was pregnant, and then he proposed. We got married while I was still pregnant. We were on the fast track to crazy town. I will say that I think the pandemic had a lot to do with the ending of our marriage, as well as just like our perceptions of like what marriage was supposed to be. We were listening to like other people about like, oh, y'all need to be married. You don't want your kid to be in a home without married parents, blah, 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 blah. I think how we really like went back and been more mature in ourselves, we would have been like, we're good. Like, we're not gonna force a marriage. We're gonna try to figure this parenting thing out, because I think we just had too many changes too fast. One day we really sat down, we were like, this is actually not working. And it's not that we don't love and care for each other, but I think marriages require more than love and care. A lot of our like effort and goal for our marriage was because we had a child. It was sticky at first. We were beefing heavy. We had to release a lot of ego and realize that like it's about Logan. And when we drop him off and pick him up, it should be joy in every experience that he sees, because as he's growing up, like he's gonna have questions about what's going on, and either both of us are gonna have to answer it, or one of us is gonna have to be like, oh, I wasn't mature enough to like show up and be a good co-parent to your mom or your dad. And we just didn't want to do that. It's a journey. I mean, he's still very irritating, not gonna lie.
The dynamic of me and my child's father, I first and foremost want to say I believe that everything happens for a reason. Finding out that I was pregnant, we were both scared. Like, now looking back at my journey, even the place that I was in when I found out I was pregnant, there was a lot of things that I was avoiding with myself. I think ultimately I was running from myself in a sense, which is why I was partying, which is why I always wanted to be around people. You end up in connections and you meet people that are kind of like in that same space that you're in, and you know, attraction is real. We were both broken people. I mean, we're all broken people. Every human on earth, we're broken. We all need healing. We all have trauma. We all have different things. We fell in love quick. Everything happened fast. So I was not expecting a child, and it just happened. Ultimately, we were both scared. We were both nervous about it, but ultimately we knew that we just wanted to be the best parents that we could be for our child. The dynamic during the pregnancy and stuff, it was very challenging, very new for both of us. And not only that, we're both navigating our own lives. When you find out you're a young mom and you don't have it together, it's a pressure of feeling like you have to have it all together. Eventually, it got to a space where by the time my son was turning 2, it was literally right before his 2nd birthday, I became a single mom. And it was the hardest thing for me because I had a lot of codependent patterns, a lot of attachment issues, and I'm a lover girl at heart. Like, God knows the desire of my life. Like, I want to be happily married, Lord. Like, you know, you desire that so much. It's like you just love, you want to give love. But ultimately, I had to realize that I was in a space of I was expecting other people to love me how I felt they should be loving me instead of loving myself. I ended up in a space where, like, honestly, it was God telling me I had to let go of this relationship. And I knew that we were better off co-parent. Like, we're literally such great co-parents to our son. And that's the most beautiful thing that has came out of the situation.
I feel like sometimes men, they get the easier stick, especially when you don't live together. So that was a whole nother thing. Like, before having my baby, I really had to decide like if I wanted to bring a baby into this situation, because y'all aren't married, y'all are barely together. So it's like, you know, you may have to like pick up slack if it's there or not, but obviously he provides. But you know, that 24/7 life of being a mom is, it can be stressful.
Moms have a different responsibility in the co-parenting dynamic, because I technically am his primary parent. Something like medically going on, or if there was something else going on, like he is on all of my documents. I have a more consistent schedule compared to his dad within the field of work that he's in. So I think it defaults a lot to me as a mom. I am a strong proponent of moms should not have to mom every day. It is crazy. We will lose our minds. We need a village to come and get our children so we can go and walk around in Target and buy nothing. We can go to sleep. We can cry in the shop, whatever we need to do. Like, we need people to help us with our children.
You hear it all the time, like, your life's over when you have a kid. You should find a job. Like, I heard a lot of different things, but I'm just like, no. I'm gonna stick to what I believe is right. And I just loved how God is so intentional about his children, because he knows your circumstances. He knows the choices you're gonna make before you make them. And he also knows, he just knows all the details, even when we don't know what's ahead. And so he sent so many people in my journey to help guide me, to help me have the confidence. And when people would say that to me, I would always say, like, my life doesn't end here. As a matter of fact, it just begun. It was like a rebirth for me.
What's better than this? Heaven never missed. Glad he showed me this, show me you in this life. What's better than